In this class, there are 4 different shapes of graphs that we are going to encounter, and you need to know how to deal with each of them. They each have a name, and then they also have an equation. So we're going to start with the easiest graph. It is a straight line, okay, so we call it a line. Remember that it is related to what we call a direct relationship. And the equation for a line is y equals kx plus b. This looks a lot like the equation you've seen in your math class, except we use the letter k instead of the letter m. The second shape is a downhill curve. This shape is called a hyperbola. And a hyperbola is related to what we call an inverse relationship. The equation for a hyperbola is y equals k divided by x. So it uses division instead of multiplication. The third shape is a shape that it's an upward curve. It gets steeper as the graph progresses. This is called a parabola. And those of you that are good at math may recognize that it comes from what we call quadratic equations. Now, a quadratic equation is an equation in which the independent variable has been squared. So the equation is kx squared. It is the square that bends this and prevents it from being a straight line. Finally, you can have a graph that starts out steep and then flattens out. Notice it's kind of like a parabola that's laying on its side. I call this shape a hill. And it comes from a relationship called a root. This just means that the equation is going to use a square root symbol. So the equation will be y equals k root x. As we do labs in this class, our task is usually to solve for the constant. We want to know what number to put into the equation for k, and a different video will talk about how we do that. But the point of the data that we collect and the graphs that we draw is to eventually solve for the value of k, because we need to know what that number is in order to make future predictions.